The Shishunaga dynasty was crumbling, leaving the powerful kingdom of Magadha highly vulnerable and in desperate need of a new leader. For centuries, the rules of succession in ancient India were rigid. Kings came from the Kshatriya warrior caste, creating a strict, deeply entrenched societal boundary. But the man who stepped into Magadha's power vacuum ignored those rules completely. Mahapadma Nanda was an absolute outsider, believed by some sources to be an illegitimate son, and by others an ordinary barber. He bypassed the royal court's barriers by seducing the queen, leveraging her influence to secure the king's ultimate trust. Once inside the inner circle, he assassinated the king. He then positioned himself as the benevolent guardian to the young royal princes, only to execute every single one of them at his first opportunity to claim the throne. A lower-class usurper taking power through such extreme violence usually invited immediate rebellion. History suggested his reign should have been a brief, disastrous footnote. Instead, Mahapadma consolidated his control and systematically absorbed neighboring kingdoms. His brutal ambition overrode the ancient requirements of noble bloodlines, allowing him to construct India's first true empire. He immediately turned Magadha into a machine for military expansion. He launched aggressive campaigns, swallowing up regional powers like Panchal, Kalinga, and Kuru, pushing his borders all the way south to the geographic wall of the Vindhya range. Because of this massive, unified territory, he claimed the title Ekrat, meaning the sole monarch. With the geography secured, he shifted his focus inward. He directed the construction of extensive canal networks to irrigate the newly conquered lands. Farmers paired these new, reliable water sources with increasingly common iron tools. The combination triggered a massive spike in agricultural yields across the empire. As we can see in the foundational ruins of these early settlements, this surplus food supply allowed populations to specialize. Small agricultural villages rapidly grew into sprawling brick-and-mortar urban centers with complex local economies. The state aggressively taxed this booming economy. The agricultural surplus directly paid for the recruitment, training, and supplying of a massive standing army. Mahapadma rewired the operating system of Magadha. He engineered a self-sustaining loop where agricultural prosperity funded unstoppable military supremacy. Mahapadma maintained the system until his death at age 88, passing control of the Magadha superpower to his son, Dhana Nanda. Dhana Nanda dismantled his father's engine of reinvestment. He operated as an extortionist, actively skimming government revenues and hiding them in private reserves for his own amusement. To feed these reserves, he squeezed the working class. He demanded a severe royal tax of 1/6 of all agricultural production, collected mostly as physical paddy. The extortion extended well beyond the fields. Dhana Nanda forced independent artisans to provide a full day of unpaid labor in the royal court every single month. Meanwhile, he completely exempted the most powerful factions of society. Soldiers and priests paid nothing, shifting the entire cost of the empire onto the backs of farmers and laborers. Look at the volume of silver punch-marked coins in this hoard. These were pulled directly from the local economy and locked away from public use, sitting idle in the royal treasury. Dhana Nanda weaponized the tax code against the people who generated the empire's wealth. By converting their productivity into a private, hoarded treasure, he turned the kingdom's greatest economic asset into a catalyst for public revolt. On paper, Dhana Nanda commanded an overwhelming force. He inherited 200,000 infantrymen with 20,000 cavalry and 2,000 chariots, and a vanguard of 3,000 war elephants. This marble bust represents the Western conquerors who were halted in their tracks. When Alexander's war-weary soldiers heard about the sheer volume of Nanda troops waiting for them, they outright refused to advance any further into India. From the perspective of foreign invaders, the Nanda Empire looked like an impenetrable fortress. When Chanakya, a renowned scholar from Taxila, arrived at the court seeking help against the Greek invasion, Dhana Nanda arrogantly insulted and dismissed him. Chanakya channeled his outrage into a single student, Chandragupta. Together, they leveraged the public's deep hatred, staging a rebellion that shattered Dhana Nanda's regime. The Nanda Dynasty demonstrates that while infrastructure builds a superpower, a ruler who views his subjects only as resources to be extracted leaves the state vulnerable. By the time Chandragupta struck, the empire was a hollow shell, ready for the Maurya dynasty to take its place.